Local 22 News starts now with your forecast first.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It is windy, cloudy, and at times a little showery, but we're still another day away from the soaking rain. Where's it hanging out now? Michigan, the Great Lakes, Indiana. It's all moving east and northeast toward us. So overnight tonight, we'll have some scattered showers around, but overall, it's the wind that keeps us up tonight, and then it's the heavier rain in about 24 hours that keeps us going tomorrow. This is not a time lapse. The clouds are absolutely screaming across the sky. And when you can see them moving this fast, it's when you know we got a pretty solid jet stream right above our heads. It's going to keep the wind going tonight and tomorrow. Here's your forecast first. The wind also keeps temperatures up and all those lovely looking gray clouds. We're going to spend the night in the 40s and the 50s, but all eyes on the flood risk come tomorrow night and Sunday, or tomorrow night and Saturday. We'll outline it and see what it means for Easter weekend now on Local 22 News at 6.
30 hours and 3 states later, 4 people have been arrested in connection to a shootout in Burlington.
Plus, a barn in New York destroyed by fire. A family member missed the flames by minutes.
And today was the day Special Counsel Robert Mueller's redacted report was released, and local lawmakers let their opinions on it be known.
From WVNY, this is Local 22 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Glenn Cassie.
And I'm Lauren Maloney. Up first, an elaborate New England-wide effort has led to the arrest of 4 people, all of them expected to be charged with second-degree murder in connection to a deadly shootout earlier this week in Burlington in broad daylight.
Local 22 Stacy DeSilva is live in the newsroom with more on this. Stacy, what can you tell us?
Well, good evening to you, Glenn and Lauren. Police say detectives were pulling bullets out of walls and pillars in the Old North End neighborhood where this happened Tuesday. During the investigation, Burlington detectives were led to parts of Vermont as well as Massachusetts and Connecticut while working for nearly 30 hours straight. These are the faces of the 4 people accused of murder by Burlington police.
Together, if they all collectively spell out the act of murder, then you're all collectively responsible.
Police say they attacked 23-year-old Benzel Hampton in the driveway of 235 North Willard Street as he was wrapping up a drug deal there Tuesday afternoon. According to police, the foursome exchanged gunfire with Hampton as he was wrestled to the ground. Hampton was fatally shot in the head during the altercation. 36-year-old James Felix was shot several times. The 4 then drove towards the University of Vermont Medical Center in this SUV. According to police, it was driven by 32-year-old Lazine Woodson. Before they got to the hospital, they flagged down an ambulance on Colchester Avenue. That's when police say 18-year-old Brandon Sanders and 32-year-old Johnny Ford took off.
We knew that time wasn't on our side. We had to act quickly.
Police say 12 hours after the shooting, Ford and Sanders went to MGM Grand Casino in Springfield, Massachusetts. Chief Brandon Del Pozo says Sanders was turned away due to his age, while Ford played poker.
One of the reasons we were able to trace their steps and figure out, where they were when was because they walked into a casino and played some poker after a shooting.
Police arrested Ford in an Enfield, Connecticut motel room. Enfield PD shared this photo on Facebook. Police say it shows at least $16,000 in cash and more than 100 grams of crack cocaine recovered in the room. Sanders was arrested during a traffic stop on a Connecticut interstate.
The idea that people would do a shooting in broad daylight at that time really was alarming to me. And I think, our cops are really driven. And when something like that happens, they take it personally. They take this city's safety to heart.
The woman accused of being the getaway driver, Lazine Woodson, was arrested Tuesday afternoon and has already been arraigned. Ford and Sanders will have to be extradited from Connecticut. James Felix is still receiving treatment for his gunshot wounds at the University of Vermont Medical Center. He is expected to survive. Live in the newsroom, Stacy DeSilva, Local 22 News. Glenn?
All right, thank you, Stacy. An update now on the robbery at the Jolly convenience store in St. Albans as police have arrested the man involved. According to them, 26-year-old Devin Daly of St. Albans City used a gun to rob the store on North Main Street on Tuesday. After searching Daly's backpack Wednesday, police say they found a black 9mm handgun. He's due in court May 28th to answer to charges of assault and robbery. A Castleton University administrator says police have been in contact with a woman accused of making threats toward fellow faculty members there.
The school confirmed it came from nursing faculty member Melissa Gordon. Now, students were warned about this on Wednesday and were told to call 911 if she had been seen on campus. Right now, she is not allowed to be at the school. According to school leaders, Gorton is a resident of New York. She was just promoted to full-time faculty this past fall. Today, the campus was on guard.
Police have been in contact with her. They continue to tell us that there is no imminent threat, so we're working on a potential threat. We have sent that out to the community, and we'll just ask people to continue to watch and be watchful of our campus and anything that's strange and out of place.
At this time, police have not updated us on their part of the investigation. Only on Local 22 News tonight, a barn in northern New York destroyed by an early morning fire. It took several departments to put out this fire on Leader Farm in Churubusco. Local 22's Courtney Kramer joins us now in the studio with more. Courtney?
Good evening, Lauren. No one was hurt in the fire, but farmers did lose 25 animals. Luckily, the wind was on fire crew's side this morning as it was blowing the flames away from the family's home, which was saved.
Kind of hits close to home when it's your own.
Nate LaPlante is used to responding to fire calls, but not when they're on his own property. This is what's left of Leader Farm in Churubusco after a fire broke out early Thursday morning, completely destroying the barn and much of LaPlante's livestock.
We had 8 pigs in the barn. We had my son's 2 pet goats. We had 15 lay chickens for eggs.
Luckily, his nearly 200 meat chickens weren't in yet, and his cattle were next door. LaPlante said he and his father-in-law were doing chores around the farm when a passerby alerted them to the fire shortly before 8 a.m.
15-20 minutes prior to the call going out for the fire, he had just left the barn. He said everything was fine.
When the first units arrived on scene, the barn was fully engulfed. With the wind and minimal manpower during the day, there was no chance.
The Churubusco Fire Department, along with more than 5 other agencies, were on scene for hours working to put out the flames. Excavators were also called in to lift and separate pieces of tin so firemen could reach the hay and wood still burning underneath.
When the roof and everything collapses, the tin's on the outside, it doesn't go away, but the wood underneath continues to burn.
Although the barn is a complete loss, fire officials say things could have been much worse if the wind was blowing the other way.
That's very possible. We could have lost the house too. Normally the prevailing winds come from the west, and the house would have been downwind from it.
As for Nate and his family, he says they'll move forward from this tragedy and work to rebuild their farm.
Oh yeah, we're going to clean the mess up and we'll rebuild and put something back.
Investigators say the cause of the fire is undetermined. Live in studio, Courtney Kramer, Local 22 News.
Continuing coverage tonight on the aftermath of Monday's flooding in Vermont, state leaders have filed a request for FEMA to tour 7 counties next week. They say the damage to public infrastructure totals nearly $3 million. The hardest hit counties include Essex, Caledonia, Orange, Washington, Windsor, Rutland, and Bennington. Governor Phil Scott, who toured damage yesterday, believes the state should get federal assistance. Cleanup still continues for most of these areas, and some fear the worst may be yet to come, with more rain expected tomorrow and into the weekend.
Additionally, with the snowpack that exists above 2,000 feet in the northern mountains, those hillside communities are going to be very susceptible, especially Friday night, overnight, early Saturday morning, to flash flooding. We're rostering all of our folks for the State Emergency Operations Center, so we're as prepared from a state perspective to provide local assistance as we can be.
State leaders are urging Vermonters in flood-prone areas to be vigilant. Heading into the weekend, of course, we will hear from Sean a little bit more on that. Okay, after a 22-month-long investigation, we're getting a look at Robert Mueller's process. Coming up, what's in the report, what's not, and what the president had to say.
And hear what lawmakers around our region had to say about the report and President Trump.
Plus, it is windy tonight. Widespread wind gusts over 20 miles an hour along the immediate lakeshore and the islands, gusting over 50. Burton Island reported a 54-mile-an-hour gust. We'll talk about that and the flood risk, and it's not just Vermont. New Hampshire and New York going to get it too. Your forecast is in a few minutes.
You're watching local news that matters with Lauren Maloney, Glenn Cassie, Sky Tracker Chief Meteorologist Sean Parker, and the Local 22 sports team. This is Local 22 News at 6.